Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar, the Hospitality Forward webinar organized by Vatel and in partnership with Alliance International University. Very happy today to have a special guest, Serguei Aver, who is a Vatel graduate from 2016. So we're very happy to have him as our guest and talking about his career and this fantastic topic, how to recognize the opportunities that a crisis like the one we are going through can offer. Today with us, we have Vivian. Vivian's son is going to be the technician and the representative for Alliance International University. And I am Nathalie Claire-Virovac, the program director for the MBA program at Vatel USA. I hope everyone will enjoy this webinar, and we will just move forward and start with the program. If Vivian can put up the slides, so we will go over our agenda today. Vivian will introduce the Alliance International University CSML programs. CSML stands for California School of Management and Leadership, which the Vatel program is a part of. I will also introduce the Vatel programs here in California with Alliance. And our guest, Serguei Aver, will do a presentation. It will be about 30 minutes, and feel free to ask questions and to interact with Serguei during the presentation. If you have questions, you're more than welcome to ask. And then we will also have a special, 20, 30 minutes of question and answer at the end. We will announce our next webinar with Alliance, and of course, you're welcome to contact us at Alliance or Vatel if you want more information about our programs. So Vivian, I will let you the lead if you want to introduce all the great programs that Alliance is offering.
Thank you, Nathalie. This is Vivian. I'm gonna introduce our California School of Management Leadership program. We offer different business programs in the management of the tech and the quant areas. So hospitality management with our Vatel partner is a growing focus. So we do offer bachelor, master, and doctorate level programs. We offer MBA with hospitality management specialization, and also with information technology and the digital marketing specialization. Those two master degree program, it's a CPT approved. We also have Master of Data Analysis, Master of Information System and Technology, and Healthcare Analysis. Those three master program is a STEM program as well. So we have 3 bachelor degrees. One is in hospitality management. It's also CPT approved. Another 2 is in information system and the digital marketing specialization and the business administration program. So the last one is our DBA with specialization in information and the data science. So now I let Nathalie to introduce the Vatel program as well.
Thank you, Vivian. I am the program director, and also in relation with the hotels that are welcoming our students for internships. First, the Vatel group, for those who are not familiar with Vatel, is a hospitality business school that started in France. Now there are 5 campuses in France, like Paris, Lyon, Nîmes, Bordeaux, and then Nantes. We have also schools in Switzerland, Spain, Belgium, and actually all over the world, since the Vatel group has now 50 campuses all over the world, like Philippines, China, North America, pretty much everywhere. So the vision for Vatel is really to provide a cursus where the students can have exceptional quality education, so academically, and also on the field. So that's why Vatel is also really renowned throughout the world and really appreciated with all the main hospitality companies and big hotels, because we provide also opportunities for our students to train and be really well trained and professional when they finish their courses. Here in Vatel USA, the campus is located in San Diego. And our students are able to train to do a part-time internship during their studies for 1 year of the MBA, or during the bachelor program. They have also internship at the end of each of the 4 years program. And with the MBA, they work part-time during their studies, up to 20 hours a week with the CPT accreditation. And then at the end, they have a full year of training opportunity, and we help them find internship in the biggest hotels, even boutique hotels as well. And the goal is really that they finish with responsibilities with supervisor positions, or even assistant manager or manager position. And so they can be launched to their career. And that's really how, you know, we are very proud of our students who are launched to a very successful career after their MBA program. One of them is with us today since Serguei graduated with Vatel USA in 2016. We are very proud of your career, Serguei. You're really a good example of the kind of success our students can expect after this program. You first study in Vatel, Switzerland for your bachelor degree. And then you moved to Vatel, Philippines in Manila with the Marco Polo program. Marco Polo program is a fantastic opportunity for the bachelor students to study abroad for 6 months in one of the other Vatel schools that we have around the world. And there you had also a professional experience. I know you work in China. So I'm gonna leave you the lead, and you can introduce yourself a little bit more and tell us about your parcours and how it's relevant with our subject today.
Sure. Well, first, thank you, Nathalie, and Vatel for allowing me to join this seminar, and thank you, Viviane and Alliance as well. So as you mentioned, I studied with Vatel Switzerland. I have now over 12 years of experience in the luxury hospitality industry. Starting in Switzerland, worked with well-known chef Michel Roth in Geneva, and moved to Vatel Manila, where I stayed in Asia for a year and worked at the Sofitel, the quality control manager in China, before then finishing my bachelor degree in Vatel Switzerland. And after this, I decided to do my MBA with Vatel US. Nathalie, actually, I think you're the one who did the first interview, with me at the time.
Yes.
And so for 2 years before moving to New York and finding an opportunity with the Bagatelle Group for a year as operation manager and standardizing the brand, and then moved to Petrosian, where I am today as a boutique general manager and project development specialist at Petrosian.
Mm-hmm. So what's really interesting is that during the MBA program, you worked as an intern, management trainee intern at the Bagatelle Group, and then you expanded your network, and that's how you managed to get in contact with Petrosian, and then you got a working visa offered by Petrosian.
Absolutely. So I got a working visa with Bagatelle, and with the work I've done, I ended up standardizing actually the brand with Petrosian. And that's where the relationship with Petrosian started. And at some point in the early careers, they offered me a position with them. And right now I'm on the process for green card. So I almost fully set for the US.
Very good, very good. Who have, you know, it's an amazing opportunity, and also what's really a good example and you know, launched you to where you are today is that with Bagatelle you already had a management position.
Absolutely, absolutely. At the corporate, it hasn't been easy. I think we'll talk about that later on the OPT, and it hasn't been easy. I got it pretty late, but I fought a lot for it. Went twice to New York while I was in San Diego, doing interview here and there, sending back email, pushing until it works, and it eventually worked. It worked out pretty well since I'm still in New York now 4 years later with a strong brand like Petrosian, beautiful position, and all the visa I need to stay in the US.
Yes, and becoming an entrepreneur as well. So
as well, absolutely. So, we'll be talking a bit more also later on, but there is now there were 4 companies I've been partner with. One is actually launched already since December. It's a bakery in Soho, and the 2 others are still ongoing. So, and again, we'll be talking a bit more. I don't want to spoil everything.
Yes, we don't want to spoil. So if Viviane can maybe put the first slides. I know Serguei prepared a nice PowerPoint presentation to assist with his presentation. Very nice. So Serguei, we are looking forward to learn more about how you managed to turn a crisis into opportunities.
Well, thank you, Nathalie. So yeah, as you mentioned, I'm not going to talk much about my work at Petrosian, but more on how to find solutions in time of crisis, especially regarding Euro PT and work opportunities, because I guess most of the people who will be watching this webinar are students at Vatel and looking to get this OPT during a time of crisis, which is never easy. Now, as I mentioned, I've been looking for an OPT myself 4 years ago. So I know how challenging it can be, especially during a crisis. However, it's very important to know that there are always opportunities, especially in the US, and especially during a crisis. And so we just need to shift our processes of seeing things and how things are actually running usually on an everyday basis, and shift that to another mindset. So what we will try to do actually today is to show how to do this shift in understanding those opportunities that would open the doors to an OPT, to a long-term contract with visa, and even entrepreneurship as well, as we'll be talking a lot about. Just before we get to the second slide, the presentation will be in 2 parts. A first part with more on the theory on how to analyze the crisis and see how getting opportunities from a crisis. And a second part where I'm going to be talking a bit more about the companies I've mentioned before and how each scenarios, some have been failing, some succeeded, some are still ongoing, but much more on the real example and concrete example to take. So the first part is to analyze the crisis, to understand what it is, what kind it is. So as you see, what type of crisis you can have: a sanitary, financial, political, social. The COVID is obviously a sanitary crisis, but you also had the yellow jacket in France last year, which is more of a social crisis. The stock market in 2008, obviously, which is more of a financial crisis. Black Lives Matter, we could argue that it's a mix between a social and a political crisis as well. And the political crisis, not in the US, but very recently in Brazil, in Lebanon as well. So it's important that to understand which crisis, if it's also local, if it's per state, per city, per in the world, like the one we're living in right now. But I gave this example to show you that in less than 2 years, there are already just 4 crises that happened on different levels, and that means a lot of opportunities. So on the second point, which would be to analyze the market. Vivian, if you don't mind, just switching to the second page. Thank you. So who is impacted? Who gets stronger? Understanding the crisis while the crisis is still happening is very important. You will see during this whole presentation, there are different stages on the pre-crisis, early stages, late stages, and post-crisis. So we need to understand from where it started to now, why, how, who is impacted by it. So obviously the closure of restaurants, of hotels, events, entertainment, all of those industries like pretty much shut down. Who gets stronger? So the pharmaceutical companies like Moderna, you have CTMD, Gilead, all the major pharmaceutical, but also the smaller one, CVS, all those companies, of course, their revenue rise up. The health and hygiene companies and the tech companies, as very often, but in this crisis especially, we couldn't go out. You needed to have interaction with the world. So new apps popped up, the deliveries to stay into hospitality, but a lot of different apps also started to rise up for the real estate as well. So, and therefore it's important to understand in which sector and therefore which format the opportunity can be shaped into. So from this moment on who is getting impact and who gets stronger, to have an idea on where the opportunity might open its door. So on the third point, which is analyze the supply and the demand, this is more on the early stage. Even if we could argue we're not done with the crisis, far from that, this would be more on the really first few months of a crisis. What industries are falling and failing? What people need now? So you have also a concrete example, like, and this is based on New York because we discussed a bit with Nathalie, but Le Pain Quotidien, for example, is not closed on the West Coast. In New York here, all the Pain Quotidien, they're closed. The Pret-a-Manger, they're closed as well. Kaiser is discussing very strongly about shutting down completely its distribution channel. Some, of course, retail closing brands. Supermarket, that was true very early. That's not true. That's not true now. It was just a very short window. And of course, the hospitality. We have the Edition Hotel, who just opened. It was September last year. They definitely closed right here in New York. The Four Seasons as well is going to close. You have some of the top hotels, and just mentioning like Baccarat, the Peninsula, or other big hotels that might not reopen before Q2 2021. You have, of course, restaurants, bars, or hospitality groups. Those ones are really in the early stage. They were the first one impacted. And what people needed most, of course, groceries, getting food in because they couldn't eat outside. Some masks, e-commerce, therefore the health control, new health standards, feeling safe. So that's really on the early stages to understand the crisis and shape again. The idea is to shape an opportunity out of the crisis. So out of this already, we can see some gaps that might need to be filled up later on in the crisis. So which we would see on slide 4 with the post-crisis, where actually the post-crisis, we're not in there yet, but it might be time to think about that in the way that in February and March, we had no idea when the crisis would finish. We would think it would be end of this year. Some would think it was during summer. Well, it was still very early. Now we're a few months in there, and we can see in our first forecasts on vaccines on different aspects that would announce pretty much the end of the crisis in about 6-8 months, 18 months for some, 12 or 18 months or so, some say. But we can see an end of this crisis, and that's why it might be time to start thinking of this post-crisis, of what industry are more likely to fall and to not just to definitely close. So we're gonna get back on the same company we mentioned, the events, the catering, hospitality, restaurant, bar, entertainment, or the movie theater, the fashion, as well, or the fashion shows, and what people will need after the crisis. So going out, being social again, spending money, feeling safe, very important. And they will gather again, weddings, they will want to go out to eat, to drink, to see their family, travel as well a lot. And so that's where on the theory also we can craft and start really crafting opportunities and idea and concepts to fill up those gaps. So just before, I don't know if there is any question, just before we get a bit more into the concrete and real example part of the presentation, as this is theoretical.
Yes. We don't have questions yet from our participants, but I would like to invite them to really, you know, wave hand, use the chat to ask their questions, and we can also, at the end for the Q&As, we will be able to, you know, put on the screen those who want to ask questions. For that, during the presentation, feel free to type your questions in the chat, and it's going to be nice to have this interaction with you, with Sergei.
Perfect. Okay.
Right now, no questions.
Yeah, feel free. So, as you saw just before, entrepreneurship is one of the solutions. At least that it's the one I've been taking to turn a crisis into an opportunity. And so, on the next slide, as Vivian, if you don't mind, yeah. As Van Gogh say, knowing is not enough, we must apply. Willing is not enough, we must do. All this to say, of course, acting is very important on your action, but the timing as well. The timing is usually very important because like every crisis, they start very fast and never last forever, fortunately, actually, that's a good news. Therefore, the more we wait to act on it, the more your opportunity window will be closing. This is true for most of the cases. There are always exceptions with specific time in mind and timings that either need to wait or need to open very fast. So on the next slide, which would be the path, I have 4 projects to explain a little bit about. And the 4th one, I'm going to talk about it more in details in the next slide. But first, I'd like to talk about 3 projects of mine. One that worked really well. We opened a bakery, very, very high-end bakery called Sweet Rehab in Soho in December last year. So just before COVID. Just before COVID, we opened it, worked pretty well. The executive chef, pastry chef, was at Alain Ducasse Place d'Athénée, and the baker chef at Le Bristol. So very high-end. I invite you to go look at it, Sweet Rehab. And it worked pretty well, and the crisis hit. And obviously the crisis hit, and therefore we're thinking of one thing: should we close? Should we open? Continue? Should we change our business model? And we changed a little bit our business model. We couldn't have people inside anymore. So we started to develop, even though we were very high-end, to develop apps, the delivery apps, reaching out to private clients, yachts, as well as private companies that like banks and other corporate brands that couldn't gather their people together, but therefore we're doing like online classes, a kind of seminar like what we're doing, but for the associates. And that's where we found a new opportunity, a market that we didn't at all write on into our business plan originally, because we were more focusing on our people coming for the retail space, within the retail space, and the restaurant and hotels. It developed extra revenues that actually helped us to go through the crisis really smoothly. And now, actually, since early September, so since 2 weeks, we're getting back to numbers and revenues like we were doing before the crisis. So we're really happy about that. But if we would have stayed in our same business model, it would have never happened. That's for sure.
And Sergei, may I ask you a question? How did you find these new clients, these new targets, and when How did that happen?
So there are two things. There are one, again, it's been 12 years I'm in the industry, 4 years I'm in New York. And so I've been developing a network through my work, through friends, through other Vatelians as well, to coworkers that allow us to be reachable, to know when somebody needs something, and also inquiring. That's very important. If you don't inquire, go for the information constantly, asking, sending emails, calling, visiting in person as well, the places, even though they seem closed or they're not in activity. You're going to any building in New York and they have the building manager. You go for any bank, any corporate offices, and there is a person that is in charge of all the events for the building, for example, for the bank or for the insurance company. And those people, how to reach out to them, LinkedIn, looking on LinkedIn, finding your target, your area, and daring, sending emails, sending messages, asking also your network. And when I mean asking your network, it doesn't mean posting something on social media, because this is very impersonal. It works to some extent, but with the network you're building, you have some people that are specific to do some specific things and some other doing some other things. So target the right fit directly, personally, create some privacy between the concept and the idea and the sharing to make sure it's a win-win situation. You can also, there are newsletters all over today. We have internet, subscribe to newsletter for brands, for hotel brands, hospitality, but also retail stores, even the city you're in or the city you're targeting. They're gonna send you new laws, new real estate. It's just a flow of information that is coming your way, and your own brain is gonna make the magic and maybe find something out of that. So yeah, so that's how we've targeted exactly. Is we discussed what companies, what were needing it, who was needing what. I could see also in my own industry with the caviar industry, like how we shift our model as well a little bit on going a bit online with the classes. Some private clients wanted to do this experience because they had nothing much to do. They couldn't go out. And therefore that's how we came to this mindset. A second, did I answer your question, Nathalie?
Yes, you did. Thank you, Sergei.
So a second one, which is actually a project that failed. We tried it in it's Vivian, if you don't mind, just getting back on the previous one. Yeah, we still have 2 projects to tackle, and then we get to the next slide. So it's called Saint Plus. It's at the really beginning of the crisis. We built a team, and we wanted to, we had the executive chef of montage, we had directors of big groups I cannot mention, and we wanted to create standards like the A, B, C grading for the regular hygiene test, and we wanted to create standards for the COVID, so the restaurant could put this label on Yelp or on any delivery app or even outside on their airplane door. We built the whole standards. We had a doctor with us as well, of course, and the whole we built it. However, what happened? We took too long, and all the competition, the main leaders in these industries, already were in and already had deal with the cities, and so it failed. But we tried it. We learned a lot. It just cost us a bit of time.
I have a question, Sergei. How much time are we talking about? What was the lapse of times between the moment you say, okay, we should do that, it's going to be something really helpful and we can really do a business model with that, and the moment where you realize that other people did it already?
So this was also because it's a very particular segment. It was very short. It was 1 month. But in terms of work itself, it's 20 hours.
Oh, so that's not that long.
It's not that long. You know,
Mhm.
you gather people for a weekend, even online, and you work 2 times 8 hours. You have a full business plan with finance and everything. I'm gonna talk actually about that, how we did it for the fourth project.
Interesting. Thank you, Serguei.
We have so much time and we don't realize it because there's a lot of distraction. And working on project doesn't mean not having fun and being with people you enjoy being with. On the contrary, actually. So you can blend both.
It's true that at the beginning of the pandemic and with the confinement, we had a lot of time on our hands. But I totally agree with you about distractions. So very easy to be distracted. But when you have a goal, and especially when you build a team, then you're way more efficient that you can think, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And the team aspect on the first project is it has a very important it takes a very big importance in there as it was drove all of us. Just before that, it's an ongoing project, which is we dropped the patterns, we've got everything now, and I cannot talk too much about it, but it's a premix that is going to be coming from Puerto Rico, and we actually were supposed to launch it earlier this year. With the crisis, we're going to launch it a bit later on, but the crisis gave us the opportunity to have the distributors that want to see more new brands to come in to fill up the Christmas and the holidays, as their sales were not that good. On another end, the liquor store, they did super good. It's incredible. They did in a month. I have a lot of retailers that told me in a month they did about 3 months of revenues. So times 3 on a monthly revenue up to July. August is a bit different, but up to July. So for 6 months, half of the year, they never seen that kind of sales online. People were not even coming. It was just online orders. So really zero cost except the shipping and the merchandise. So that's where we took on also. We kind of fast forward a bit this project, pushed it in a way, but fast forward it with retailer partners, with distributors, importers. So it's a really different industry than what we said before. It's really into liquors, but it has something to do with the crisis also on the timing and on how we've been doing things. And so, yeah.
Yes, when we spoke earlier, you mentioned that this project is something you are working on with your partners for quite a long time. But what's really interesting is that you had also, once again, you needed to adjust because to adjust with the price.
This actually, Nathalie, this is the fourth project.
Okay.
The fourth brand. This is another thing on the side. You're gonna ask me how do I find all the time to get all of this? But it's actually really doable if you manage 24 hours properly. And I'm working full time, so that's not even an excuse. So, but to follow your point, that's gonna be on the next slide, Vivian, if you don't mind, where I'm gonna give you. So it's called BWB. If you want to know more after the presentation, feel free to contact me. You need to sign an NDA, obviously. But it's a whole project for now 6 years that we've been developing with a full team. We have 5 founders, 3 Vatelians actually, one from Vatel US and one from Vatel Switzerland, and myself. And so it all started. It's a whole project between a bakery, a wine bar, and a bar nightclub. It's a hospitality group we're building for now 6 years. And the fact to be a whole team together has been helping a lot on how we move forward. You might say, oh, 6 years is very long. It's also because we took our time on purpose. We were very early in our career. We wanted to have the experience, to have the knowledge as well by doing an MBA for my example. and to know more, to get higher in position with our respective companies before launching. So now we came together as a team, but the team evolved as well. It's always easier to start something when you're building a team, when you're more than one, definitely. First, for idea purposes, because two brains is always better than one, but also for motivation, encouraging, and we were 5 all across the planet. When I mean all across the planet is today we have one in Mexico, one in Paris, some in the US. And for some time we had one in Asia, one in the US, we were on 3 continents, Asia, Europe, and the US, and we still figure out to move with a project, with deadlines, with things to do every year until actually this year, which is 2021. So the team evolved. One of the original founders was not matching the criteria, the requirements in terms of career advancement, in terms of even the duty we all had to do. And therefore we couldn't jeopardize the whole project, and therefore we just replaced. We replaced him, of course, with discussing a lot of discussion. It takes some time, and we replaced him. And in 24 hours, we had the new replacement who came from Switzerland, came to Paris at the time, took the handover file, and since then we are the 5 founders all together. The concept evolved as well within these 6 years. It was originally 3 entities, completely different, and now we're building a whole homogeneous concept around it. And it helps a lot again to be in a team. We had, to give you a concrete example, every year we had at least one person that was maybe had a downtime, either with his career or with his visa or with his choice or just a bad time in life. And the fact to have other people around to keep the momentum. And that's what's key, is to keep the momentum continuously, to make sure the project is going further with deadlines to respect, and to push yourself to respect it as well. So, and where we are now, we are raising the fund. We're doing a fundraising for about $5 million that we plan to finish by end of this year. And we use actually the crisis to open as the opportunities that opened up. It's definitely a drop in the real estate price. I was with a friend of mine who just opened a restaurant in New Jersey, who's going to open a restaurant in New Jersey, and his deal with a landlord, he has 0 rent, and he just have a percentage of revenues. So now with how the crisis brought us and brought the landlords and the real estate industry, there are very amazing deals to do and to develop. So that's the first thing. Second thing, when the vaccine will kick in, which we expect in Q2 next year, people will want to go out, to spend, to socialize, definitely to party as well, to do events. So there are a lot of opportunity within the restaurant and hospitality industry by then. So yes, I would say that's the two main points. Bank and investors. Everybody pulled out their money like every crisis. Now they're the interest rates are gonna be low. The investors is looking to place money again in a redynamized economy that hopefully in the next 2 years will get back to free normal and exceed, like in all crises, what it does. It's after the next 2 years, the economy is like doing its golden age. So that's what investors are looking at now. So they're looking at strong concepts and ideas to be financed at the right timing. Yeah. So that's actually it before the next slide on how to make it happen, Vivian, if you don't mind. So it would be more on to summarize the whole presentation on one, find the market you need, the market opportunity by analyzing it. get the information from anywhere you can, really. Newsletters, people, social media articles, website, food and other shows. Obviously, it's hard in this time, but even before time of crisis, you have online shows now, actually. And again, yes, newsletter, I would say it's something that is really underused, or I myself was not using enough when I was in school to get information on the different companies I enjoy. And because it usually goes to spam, or we think it's just ads, but actually there are really key information and ideas on how they're turning their business model, on what they're suggesting, what they're offering, and that's really interesting. With the project, if you want to build a project, don't go alone. If you can, transfer your beliefs of your project to others, make it their vision too, because being more than one, it's always stronger. I know some people prefer to work alone, and I mean, I'm sure it works fine as well. But in my case, being with different people and different partners, and in all those projects, I have different partners. That helps me a lot to open my mind to ideas, my vision too, and not being within the same, I would say, the same concept, or the same minds. It's important to try to go around as much as you can. Build a team. Going alone is good, but going together is better. And a team is not necessarily defined. Don't be necessarily scared that, okay, I'm gonna partner with those 3-4 people, but maybe it's not gonna work out later. You know what? Try with it. Most likely it will work if you want it to, and if it doesn't, well, it's too bad. There can be replacement. You can do NDAs. You can protect yourself as well to make sure that you stay on top of your project. But as well as a team is not necessarily defined in the way that if you build the project and then the teams collapse, where at the end of the day you still realize your goal, which was to build it. So it would be already a congrats. And put your plan on paper. We didn't mention a lot during the presentation, but business plan, financials, really what you've learned in class. It's literally what it is on the whole accounting, the marketing part, even the economics. Even this presentation, it's a lot supply, demand. They are a part of theory, but I hope you were able to see how to apply it to real concept. And finally, the harder step is just open it, do it. Don't necessarily wait unless you have a specific time in mind, but don't wait, just do it. And especially if it's jumping on a crisis opportunity, your opportunity window is closing little by little. And keep in mind that even if you're studying or working at the same time, if you want to, you can always find the time to work on side projects. So I think now it's, if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. Also, I'm sure you have my information. If after and Natalie's information, if after this presentation you have questions, feel free. I have Italians who contact me on LinkedIn for opportunities, for question, also basic questions on how the market is here in New York, etc. So I always try to help and respond as fast as I can. If I can help, I'm always willing to do it. But I understand it's not an easy time, but there are some great things to do, especially with the background you have from Vatel.
Very, very nice. Thank you so much, Sergei. Thank you. That was really nice perspective to see, you know, with your background, what you can do in this time of crisis, and the amount of work, and we can really feel how, you know, it's like you have antennas, and your entrepreneur true self is always looking for opportunities and ways to build, you know, new business models, new ways to have a company working.
Yeah, I would say the other part because we have a time restraint is to not speak too much neither, because I'm having this kind of conversation, like especially on crises and opportunities and new ideas that can come up. So I could stay with you for the whole afternoon.
I wouldn't mind, I'm sure. We have a question from Galaxy, and Galaxy is from Philippines. So
Okay.
we have people attending from California and Philippines, and I'm not sure if everyone can put where they are located right now. That would be nice to see how our attendees are spread around the world. So Galaxy from Philippines is asking, or maybe we can actually, oh, I think she has, no, she may have a connection issue, but Galaxy was asking how to give good service to hospitality clients in this time of pandemics.
So I guess what she means by good service is not necessarily luxury service, but more on the getting the make sure customer comes back and he's happy about your service. What the opportunities that the crisis give you is to connect with your client like you didn't do before. Meaning that, and I felt it with Petrosian and with the Caviar when we started to reach out to people in person. To create classes, to create events together online, and showing that the brand you are with or you build is really caring about their client, and it's not because it's a crisis time that they're not gonna get involved to give more. And what we did is since end of February, we've been launching classes every week. So we until mid of July, every week. Caviar and champagne classes, and the first 4 or 5 classes we had people all over the US in quarantine and very affected by the situation and a lot of questions about the situation, and it got emotional. We had classes, especially the 4 or 5 first, where people were like, it's my only activity of the week, and people that are wealthy, they're buying caviar, they're buying champagne, but it was a relief to be with people, to engage, to talk, to exchange, to learn. And so to answer the question, I would say the good service in this time, you have tools, you have technological tools to reach out to your client directly. Sending a blast email is, in my opinion, it's not what a good service should be about. It's personalizing it, maybe calling after to make sure the person had a good time instead of just sending a review. If it depends, of course, on the volume of clients you have, but if you're able to do that, to take the time to just even send an email directly to this person, that would change the whole perspective of your client. And the one thing we realized for the last 6 months is in any industry, the bakery, the caviar and industry, the champagne, anything, the clients and customers are much more willing to understand delays, are much more willing to understand mistakes, because they're just so happy and glad that the company is still alive and is doing and working and doing something for them by shipping it across the country, by calling them, checking if they're fine. If Galaxy has a database of a private client she used to serve a lot before crisis, sending just an email to ask if they're fine and making sure the family is fine and all of that, it might mean nothing to you because you write it, but if 5 of those 10 customers gets attached to it, the memories they're gonna have is gonna be forever. They're gonna be attached with your brand forever, because you're gonna be the only brand in the whole world who thought of them in this time.
So really, from what you are saying, personalized service, so very a human dimension into the relationship you can have with your clients is probably key.
So yeah, it is key. And now that I'm rereading the question, I'm wondering also if she was not thinking in more like how to serve the client with a mask and in direct contact more than through online. And I would say that obviously it changes a lot. You don't see a smile, or it's harder to see. But the experience you're giving to whatever industry you're on, even a fast food or or a high-end restaurant or a hotel, it's not necessarily about the person that is in front in the way that it is the person that is in front, but it's more his or her behavior, her contact with the person, to talk, to inquire, again, inquiring about health, about how they are, if they're tourists or foreigners, how they fly around, how are the flights, are the family fine, when are they going back, and uses this everyday topic to put it in a more genuine way of caring, I would say.
Mm-hmm. So we have another question from Hannah.
Yeah.
I can try to allow Hannah to talk, so she can ask the question by herself. Let's try that. Hannah, can you unmute yourself, and do you want to ask your question?
Yes, so hello, good evening.
Hello, Hannah.
Good
Where are
morning.
you calling from?
I'm from Philippines.
Oh, Philippines too. Welcome to Philippines.
Hello. So my question is, how many months or years will it take for the hospitality industry to cope up with all that is happening right now?
So that's a hard question what you're asking me, because there are two things to take in consideration, and there are also things I could more easily answer on private. But to give you an idea, a lot of hotels will reopen when the international flights will restart. I've heard a lot of general manager of hotels mentioning the correlation between international flights reopening, especially in the US. In the Philippines, I guess there are some countries cannot come in neither. I don't know about that. But in the US, Europeans cannot come and Americans cannot go to Europe. And therefore, the moment those flights will reopen, they will reopen the hotels, because they cannot survive just with local residents, with local tourists. Anna, do you know if so in Philippines, how is it doing? Did they open the flights to internationals?
There were flights opened internationally, but not all are open.
So that might be a first part of the answer, that it might be correlated. And the reopening of the airports might be correlated with the vaccine. A lot of vaccine, or even earlier, hopefully, but a lot of Moderna, Gilead, a lot of pharmaceutical brands are mentioning that they're expecting a vaccine for end of Q1 2021, so like around March. So I would say the moment tourists can come back, don't worry, all the hotels will reopen. And we'll be looking for staff, because they will need to be restaffing.
Yeah, so for all the hotels who have been closed, they will probably try to rehire their former team, but there will be also a lot of opportunities for positions that are not able to be filled with the previous employees. So that means a lot of openings in the hospitality as well, right?
It is. We can see, at least in New York, we can see a lot of hotels that have most of their staff that were going to get on the retirement in the next 5 years. They're taking anticipating leave, and because the hotel is closing temporarily, and instead of just waiting, they're doing the unemployment plus retirement, and they finish. They retired some years earlier. So there will be all this stuff to hire. There will be, there will be all the spots that will be available, and there will be all the spots of people who are in the crisis, have no jobs now because the hotels are closed, and they must find another job. And therefore, when the hotel will be reopening, they will be working somewhere else. So there will be new opportunities and positions that will open up a lot. without counting all the hotels that will open, meaning being built. Because that's something also that we didn't talk about, but a lot of brands, of course, their opening plan every year, and the opening plans for 2020 have been postponed to 2021, a lot of them. And therefore, in 2021, you're going to have much more hotels that open, the one plan for 2020 plus the one plan for 2021. And so it means more, obviously, more work opportunities and positions, opening positions.
Yeah, so everybody should get ready to get their degree and ready to start internship, or it's gonna happen fast and strong. We just need to be patient, and I know we have students who already, starting working for hotels who have started to reopen, and so there is a crisis in the hospitality industry, but there are openings as well.
There is, and there will be a very high demand the moment it gets back. So I'm hoping for end of Q1, Q2 2021, there will be a lot of demand from the tourists, obviously, but also from all the events, the locals, the weddings, the parties. It's gonna be massive. We can see, to give a little parallel, we can see how much hairdresser got super crazy right after the quarantine. I'm pretty sure it's going to be like this for hospitality once international flights get back to normal.
Yeah, that's really good to hear. Do we have other questions? No, I don't see. So I have one for you. From your experience, since you are working with partners for the last 4 years or 6 years, what are you looking for in a good partner? What are the key things that you should look for in your partners? If you are an entrepreneur, you are looking for partners for this endeavor. What are you looking for in order to make it work? Because we have seen so many examples of people getting partners and then it doesn't work out. So I know it's
So very good question. There are two ways of doing it. You can either, if you want to play it safe, take people like yourself that have the same method, the same willingness, or the same planification. I'm someone who really likes to plan out and have deadlines. However, if you partner with people that are exactly like you, you're closing yourself to a very big part of the picture. To give you an example, for BWB, so the project we're raising funds for, out of the 5 founders, if you do different personality tests, and we're completely different. You have one completely dreamy, artist style kind. You have one that also likes a bit more planning, but is a bit more into improvising than just planning out and having everything set. We have one that is more a human person on a human touch. So I would say, if you build your team, go for skill sets that you don't have. Get the same values and same principles between the people, but this, I guess, you feel it. It's not you feel it by talking, by exchanging. Share your vision already. Once you have the same vision, whatever the background you have, whatever the skill set, the behavior trait you have, it might match because you're always on for the same goal. So really, the number thing you want to look for is, do you guys have the same values, same principles? That's the number one. Then go for different skill sets to have a full picture. It's like if a painter just have blue and red to paint something. I mean, it's gonna be quite monotone. So you want as much differentiation you might want in terms of skill set, way of thinking, way of planning. You don't necessarily need to be too many neither, because there'll be too many people is It's always hard. It's always harder than being two or three. But there is one thing you need also that needs to be clear for everybody, is that in any project, you need somebody that has the authority to, as we say in French, to cut the apple in two and make the choice. And that needs to be agreed by everybody. Even if there is a partnership, you're exchanging, you're listening to advice, recommendation, sometimes not following your own first thought, but changing to your partner's one. But you need someone that is able to make the final choice if need be, of course. So yes, that would be the 3-4 points I'd be looking for people.
Very well, thank you, Sergei. Maybe one more question. Based on your experiences, your tries, sometimes you wanted to launch a business, and as you mentioned during your presentation, you were just a step backward and someone took the opportunity before you. With all these experiences, what are the key things that you learned? And if you look backward, maybe that would make you do things differently.
You mean linked to the crisis, or more on the other side, on a general basis?
Since the topic of our subject topic today is more access on the the crisis, I would say more related to that. But if you have a useful hint, or tips that you would like to share, that would be also useful in any situation. That's good too.
There are two things. We talked a lot about timing. That's definitely one. And I haven't been fast enough on the hygiene and project called Simplus. We haven't been fast enough. So you're managing the timing. And not being scared to have short deadline. If you feel you can meet them, just do it, go for it, because the rest of the world is not gonna wait for you. Definitely. And the moment you have competition started to kick in, and especially if you're a startup and they're much bigger than you, that one might demotivate you, and two, take over most of the market. So timing is very key. I would say on a second thing is, and it's kind of linked to it, is to do it, to just do it. And we talk a lot about it between the founders of BWB. If we don't do this project, it's been 6 years, we're spending time together and energy. We spent a full week in February, just before the crisis, full week in February, where we all gathered here in New York and worked. I took a week of vacation. We all took our vacations. We came here and we stayed in the apartment working for the whole week, from 8 a.m. to 1 a.m. with a whole schedule plan, when the breakfast, lunch, and stuff. And that allowed us to today have a final presentation to present to investor. We have an advisor for Bernard Arnault that is on the advisory board of it. We have a guy from Nestlé as well that could be on it. We have a CMO of Rémi Cointreau who is on the advisory board. And all of this because we prepared on paper, we did all the business plan, all the financials, really what we've learned in a bachelor and an MBA, definitely. And we spent, again, 8 a.m. to 1 a.m. for 5 days in a row. We were completely burnt out. We were out of energy, literally. Really couldn't think anymore after the 5th day. So to do it, to make sure to do, especially we have time today because of the crisis. It made some industry much more busy, but also because everything is super accessible and very easy to access. Everything is faster. You want to make a PowerPoint or an Excel, you have some pre-format that are already made. You don't need to think much. You just need to put the numbers in, and you have your whole format. So today, the access to technology is very a blessing for everybody to make it faster. So to do it, to just go for it, and as we said with the BWB member, if we don't do this project, we will regret it for the rest of our life. We will think we spent the last 6 years for nothing. So it's not an option. As we say between ourselves, we say it's not an option not to open. So to do the timing, number one, and to do and act on it, and surround yourself with people that that can bring you higher and that are better than you in different areas.
Yes, and really put on paper all your plans. The planning is a really important step.
Planning is important. I mean, it depends on the style of the project, of course, but in any size, you need it on paper. You need to. It helps also to share your vision. Because you're an investor or an advisory board, you receive a number of new concepts, and we start to receive some as well because we start to get on some advisory board as well. A new concept constantly, and if it's not something that is talking clearly, that is speaking about it, that makes that the investor sees your vision and share it and wants to be part of it, there is no way. That's why you need to put emotion, and especially in our industry. In hospitality, the heart. I think we all agree that the heart of our industry, before the quality, before the type of service, the level, luxury, non-luxury, it's the passion we share about our clients, about our colleagues, and about our product. So it's all about sharing this emotion. Then we can get more in details about the concept. Does it really make money? Does it work?
And so that brings me to my next question. It's a nice transition because I wanted to ask, when you're looking out for money investors, what are they looking for? What's the difference between finding investors, a year ago and now?
So I would say what they're looking for. First of all, there are two types of investors. There are the private investors that is here and that is looking for passion and love, and who always dreamt to have his restaurant chain, and that's where passion is very important. And you have a second type of investors like hedge funds, banks, that are not looking for passion; they are looking for return on investment. So you need to adapt your speech, your presentation, what you say. You can have two presentations. Now, what it changed in what they're asking now is, I would say that now they're more careful on how the concept match the crisis. That's important. Even if it's planned after the crisis, how do we use this crisis to show the investor that it's because of this crisis that you're going to make even more money, or that we're going to be even more successful. Before it was, like everyday restaurant plan and stuff. Okay, my concept is better, my team is better. Now you have a new aspect into it to show the market opportunities on the real estate by doing your whole real estate analysis, the differences of prices. That's actually what we're doing. We're brokers looking for areas, and we see prices dropping, and we're adjusting our presentation constantly every week. So on the real estate, on the consumption behavior of your clients, on the traffic in the streets and in your restaurant, how it will increase from a restaurant that is today or a year ago and right after the crisis, because everybody after a crisis wants to go out and spend and enjoy the time. So I would say that's more what they're looking for now for a hospitality business, at least.
Yes, thank you, Sergei. And that also reminds me one of our conversation when organizing this webinar, among the kind of opportunities that are created with the crisis is the real estate.
Absolutely. Yeah, the real estate.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, of course. I don't want to say all the secrets before I open the other project, but what we see in the real estate clearly is a drop in the rent, of course, for commercial, but for residential too. If you want to get into the real estate business and starting taking loans and buying and selling or building on it and selling, it's the right moment too, according to areas, because as well as New York City, for example, the price drops. Upstate, Connecticut, Hamptons, I would say even Texas, prices doesn't drop yet because that's where people are going. But on the other end, it's increasing. So it's a bit after the curve, but it's still going to be increasing for, in my opinion, in the next 18 months. So there are bargaining powers that are now into the buyers that were not the case before. Because a year ago, you wanted to buy something in New York, they would say, well, there are 50 people waiting for it for this location. So what do you offer more? Now it's more the other way. It's I have 50 other locations that I can go into. What do you offer more than the other ones? Because retailers want tenants. We were able with our bakery, we negotiated, we're now paying 50% of our rent. And he's very happy of doing it because at least we didn't close. So he still gets his money. We need to think that the scale, the business scale of a business as a retail business or as any business is to make money and to make more money or as much money as you spend. For a landlord, it's not because he owns it that he makes a lot. He has his mortgage. He has his property tax. So this needs to break even for him too in order to pay back what he owes. So he's in the same situation than everybody else. And that's where there is a very big bargaining power to negotiate on. I think you're muted, Natalie.
Okay, we're gonna have one more questions, and that's from Theodore, is a Vatel student. And Theodore, if you're ready, I would like to allow you to talk and ask your question yourself.
I think he's muted.
Hello, Natalie. Hello, Sergei.
Theodore. Okay.
Hi. Thank you for this meeting.
Yes. So, hello, Theodore. How are you? Yes.
I'm
Thank
good.
you for joining this webinar.
My pleasure. So I just moved to New York City, so the city of Sergei. So as an OPT student, what kind of jobs can we do right now, waiting the end of the pandemic? So where should we apply? That's my question.
So, and I think we talked a bit, Theodore, before.
Yes, we did.
Not linked to this meeting, but about the opportunities. And so, unfortunately, as you mentioned, restaurant, hotels, it's going to be very hard for them to hire this year. That's for sure. However, there are other industries that are coming on. We can see online sales. So like all the e-commerce for any type of goods actually. And you can look for luxury goods as well. We have distributors of truffles, of not caviar, but distributor of truffles and other luxury goods, rare goods like white raspberries and this kind. They are looking for people because chefs are ordering private chef, private yield, private clients, and so their demand is increasing. The liquor stores, very high-end liquor stores, it's not a liquor store is not necessarily the small liquor store when you have your few spirits and wine that you're going to. You have some luxury liquor stores that are dealing with all the wealthy families, the wealthy brands, and that are doing partner with them. They are looking for people because they never did such big sales online. They need people to help on buying the wine, of selling it. They're open to public as well. People are going into liquor store. We can see in New York since September, so since 2 weeks, people are more in the street than much more in the street than before. So I would say those industries, and on the short term, I would say those industries, so online events as well, on I would say online events, trying to find brands. What you could do is to find brands that are looking for people to, as a sales rep, meaning you would sell their product as a licensed sales rep. You don't get a salary, you get a commission on what you're getting, on what you're selling. That's something the companies are looking for now, because there is zero risk for them, and they're definitely, and it can stay in the luxury industry. Again, I'm taking again the example of truffle, but you have the same with champagne, with wines, and with chocolate as well, like luxury chocolate brands from Switzerland or from Belgium. They're looking for people. So as an OPT, I'm sure it's not necessarily what you were expecting, as it's not in the pure hospitality. But there are some new thoughts from the side industry, I would say, that are looking for talents and people who are educated, that got their MBA, are willing to work a lot. That's definitely something they're looking for.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sergei. Thank you, Theodore, for your question. Also, I know, you know, since you're a current student at Vatel USA and looking for your internship as OPT, many students have also found placements in hotels outside of big cities, you know, for resorts or ski resorts, you know, in the mountains, or because people are able to travel inside the country. And so, you know, especially those people from big cities, they want to enjoy some vacation, and they will be more inclined to book a hotel in a resort. So maybe I have let me know if I'm wrong, Sergei, but I have a tendency to think maybe the hotels in big cities like New York are more affected than the resorts.
That's true. No, that's true. I actually haven't thought of outside big city, but definitely. So if Theodore is still around, definitely hospitality, restaurant groups, hospitality groups. I'm thinking so the mountains, because the season is going to be starting, but also in the area where people move to. New York City, they were like the highest number of move outs in the last 5 years, in like 6 months. And they all moved somewhere, obviously. They moved to upstate, they moved to Florida. There are area, and there needs to be a full research on it. I don't have all the numbers, but there are areas that is getting more and more populated, and therefore restaurants and hotels will boom. Activities will increase. There is also, we mentioned a bit about the real estate. That's something I didn't mention, but work on real estate as well. That's really promising on the in the future years and months. It's always, real estate is always safe, but to not necessarily invest yourself, but to help people find their place, the right place. And it can be luxury. You have some luxury real estate app as well for accommodations, kind of a luxury Airbnb, but you only have mansions and beautiful places. So I'm sure those are also companies that might be interested in people, especially for the customer service a lot, because those apps, they have beautiful properties, but their customer service is often lacking, because they don't come from this industry. So, but yes, outside of big cities. That's definitely something. Again, I don't have the numbers. I wouldn't say really the locations because I don't know enough about it. But yes, that's something worth to look at.
Thank you very much, Sergei. Time flies. It's already 11:30, and we have to end this webinar. It was really, really nice speaking to you and learning, from your experience. I hope everyone enjoyed that webinar as well. If Viviane can switch to some slides, we're gonna finish up with some announcements. And Sergei, how do people contact you through LinkedIn?
Through LinkedIn, it's easier, and then I would answer either my phone number or my email, and so people can reach out to me directly. But on LinkedIn, I mean, they type my name, they're gonna find me. Don't hesitate if they have questions, inquiries, or even a business proposition. I'm always happy to hear, even to be on the, maybe not necessarily involved, but on the advisory board to guide or to help out as much as I can. I'd be happy to do so.
Very well, thank you so much. I'm sure some brilliant mind will jump on the opportunity. Viviane, I'm going to leave you the lead to close with this announcement for the CSML programs.
Yes, our California School. Can you hear me? Yeah, the California School of Management Leadership, we will have several webinar series in next few months. So
for me, the connection.
Nathalie, if you don't mind, just thank you, because I must go. I have another meeting. So I just wanted to thank you very much, Viviane and Alliant and Nathalie and Vatel and the people who followed the webinar. So if they as you mentioned, if they want to contact me, they can just send me a little message on LinkedIn, and I'd be happy to answer. So have a wonderful day, guys, and thank you again.
Very good. Thank you so much, Sergei. Thank you for taking the time and sharing your experience. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And of course, you can also direct your questions to me, and I will be happy to forward to Sergei. Viviane, sorry for the interruption. You can move forward.
No problem. I just typed the aligned event calendar on the chat. So anyone if interested in register those webinars, you can find those on our aligned website. So yeah. Oh, Natalie, you are mute.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Viviane. So I was saying, if you wish to have more information about Vatel, the programs, feel free to email us at info@vatelusa.com. You can also call us at 310-421-1400, and we will give you all the information. We have an intake starting this October and another one in January. So there is time to enroll if you want to be part of the hospitality industry and take advantage of all these openings that we are forecasting for basically next year. And Alliance International University, you can call them at 858-635-4233 or email Viviane at Alliant or El Nadiri at alliant.edu. We will be happy to give you all the information you need. It's very late, it's even 34. Thank you for joining us today. It was a very interesting webinar. I hope you like it, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Natalie. Thank you. Bye.